Nigeria's inflation rate eases for the sixth straight month just as the nation joins the global community to celebrate World Food Day. Global government debt on course to hit 100% of GDP by 2029, International Monetary Fund warns. Oil prices up 1% after Trump says India promised to stop buying Russian oil. Plus, South Korea's Kospi hits record high on trade deals optimism. IMF growth forecast upgrade. The program is Business Experts reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Maria Ado-Zakari. Today on the program, we'll be taking a look at building sustainable food systems in Nigeria. The National Bureau of Statistics says Nigeria's headline inflation rate eased further to 18.02% in September 2025. The NBS disclosed this in its Consumer Price Index (CPI) and inflation report for September 2025, which was released in Abuja on Wednesday. According to the report, the headline inflation showed a decrease of 2.1% compared to the 20.12% recorded in August 2025. The report said on a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 14.68% lower than the rate recorded in September 2024 at 32.70%. Furthermore, the report said on a month-on-month, the headline inflation rate in September 2025 was 0.72%, which was 0.02% lower than the rate recorded in August 2025 at 0.74%. The International Monetary Fund says global debt levels are on the rise once again and could surpass 100% of global GDP by 2029. Moplang de Kock reports that based on the IMF's fiscal monitor team, there is no cause for alarm for Nigeria, as ongoing economic reforms are helping to keep fiscal risks under control.
According to the fund, the more than 100% debt to GDP will be driven by large countries such as China and France and other G20 members, and warns that policymakers must act now to keep debt under control and reduce risks.
While we do recognize that the fiscal equation is very hard to square politically, the time to prepare is now. Improving growth prospects and enhancing public trust in government help balance the fiscal equation. Fiscal policy, structural policy. Deploying fiscal structural policy improves growth prospects and reinforces complementarities and synergies with the private sector.
For countries like Nigeria, the IMF recommends building buffers both on the revenue and the spending sides in order to strengthen resilience.
Our policies advice has been both on the revenue side as well on the spending side. I think on the revenue side there is a scope to improve revenue through reform to tax administrations to increase revenue mobilization in a way that doesn't hurt growth. For example, tax reform, and this actually Nigeria has done quite a lot in the past years. I think like many of the laws that have been passed have tried to streamline tax code, tax expenditure has been reduced, The burden for business and low-income households has declined in terms of taxation. So these are policies that goes in the right directions.
The report also notes that fiscal risks and public debts around the world are more extensive than they appear, and they urge governments to focus on quality of spending, particularly in areas like infrastructure, which are critical for sustainable growth.
That was encouraging. Thank you, Moplang. President of the World Bank Group, Ajay Banga, has called for urgent action to address the global employment crisis, particularly in developing countries, noting that agriculture holds the key to creating jobs and driving economic growth. With over 1 billion young people set to enter the workforce in the next decade, Banga stressed the need to embrace agriculture and agribusiness. At the AgriConnect flagship event during the 2025 annual meetings, Banga highlighted a disparity between the number of jobs needed and those likely to be available. He noted that while around 1.2 billion young people in developing countries will come of age in the next 10 to 15 years, projections show that only 400 million jobs will be created to accommodate them. This job shortfall, he warned, could either fuel global economic growth or lead to increased social unrest and migration if left unaddressed. Now, the federal government commemorates the 2025 International Day of Rural Women, observed annually on October 15th. This coincides with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture's engagement with schools as part of activities marking World Food Day. Details are with Musa Baba Aliyu.
October 15 is designated by the United Nations to celebrate rural women and their contributions to global food production. These women in Kuje Area Council and their counterparts nationwide are being celebrated.
We are certain that with your collaboration and intervention, we shall drive this vision through policy, support, your partnership, and interventions.
The Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, and his counterpart, the Minister of Livestock Development, Muktari Idi Meha, are here to celebrate with the women.
When we have pockets of production centers, through every home a garden, through Young Farmers Club, and through community-driven projects such as Muje Kuje, definitely we will be contributing to the volume of food that is available in the market.
We want to see goats, sheep, and particularly dairy cows, so that you can do milking here and start selling your milk, selling your yogurt, and making cheese here.
Nigeria can be a hub, can feed itself and feed the surrounding nation too.
Dr. Sabi Abdullahi, alongside Idi Mukhtar Meha, visited UBE Secondary School facility in Kuje Area Council. They inspected the farm being cultivated by the students of the school. And here is the Minister of State for Agriculture with the students of Government Girls Secondary School, Karu. The minister and his team are here to encourage the students' farming activities.
From the classroom to the
community.
In addition to maize, the students of Government Secondary School, Karshi, are also cultivating rice.
That was beautiful, Musa Baba Aliyu. Thank you. World Food Day, marked annually on 16th October, raises awareness of global food insecurity and malnutrition. And according to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, 1 in 12 people globally still face hunger, and achieving food security demands coordinated global action and targeted local investments. At present, the World Economic Forum is convening global leadership via the Food Innovation Hub's global initiative to advance food systems through innovation and market-based solutions. Now let's take a look at the present. Why it's important to build a sustainable food systems than ever before for agribusinesses in Nigeria. To speak on this, we have in the studios the President, Nigeria Agribusiness Forum, Kabiru Ibrahim. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's begin by saying, how would you analyze business related to agriculture globally, and then at home, of course, Nigeria?
Well, the global narrative is that real growth will be from agriculture and agribusiness. And so many countries of the world that are food secure today are really having very good agribusiness, a good agribusiness. If you take the United States, there is food security there, and people are not grappling with hunger at all. People are not begging for food. Go to some countries in Europe, like the Netherlands, the food is abundant, and the economic growth is phenomenal. In Nigeria, we can do that because we have very many lofty policies in place. All we need to do is to make sure that we implement them properly. And scaling up productivity is sine qua non to prosperous agribusiness, because when you make the farmer produce optimally and you take off what he or she produces and add value to it, he or she will get good value from that. It will attract foreign exchange in exporting some of these items. Otherwise, when you sell all these things you do in the raw form, you end up simply making other people food secure in other countries, because they buy what you have in its raw form and they add value and bring it back to you. If you take cocoa, for instance, you take raw cocoa and then they bring chocolates, and chocolates are very expensive. So in Nigeria, we need to really look at all the cross-cutting issues that will make agribusiness prosper. That is, we must look at our energy, we must look at optimization of production through mechanization, and we must be able to produce year-round to be able to really maximize what we can get from the land. Luckily, you know, the federal government has recently, as recent as Tuesday, launched the National Farmer Soil Health Card, which is quite an impressive event. It took place in the banquet hall, and it is very important for the farmers because we have been complaining about exorbitant prices of fertilizers and other inputs. Now, when we know that our soils require specific components of fertilizer, not generic, we will be able to put it and get maximum returns from the soil. Because even the concept of soil-less agriculture is only predicated on some of the things that you can get from the soil. So the soil is the mother of production, and we must be able to optimize the yields that we get. So by and large, these things are important for very good agribusiness. If you don't have good productivity, you cannot get the best out of agribusiness. So we should be able to scale our agribusiness by scaling our productivity in production, in agricultural production.
Now, Mr. Kabari, you talked about security. Let's now look at insecurity. Why is food insecurity growing?
Well, you see, we have many threat factors to the attainment of food security, chief of which in the food basket of this country is the insecurity related to kidnappings and other skirmishes around the northern part of the country. Now, climate change that we had been in denial of is also a factor. Just before this program, you and I were discussing about cessation of the rains in some areas and too much rain in other areas. Cessation of the rain too quickly can bring about drought. Too much rain also can spoil some of those products that do not thrive well when there is too much water around them. So we need to calibrate this and do those things that mitigate the effects of these things. Insecurity, climate change. We need to optimize mechanization. We need to farm all year round. We need to do climate smart agriculture. We need to finance agricultural activities. These are all important factors that can threaten the attainment of food security. And unless we do it, contiguously, we'll not be able to have sustainable agri-food in the country. And agribusiness will only thrive when the agri-food system is working.
What, in Nigeria, would you say we are treating the agricultural business, the agriculture sector as a business?
Well, I think over a very long period of time, our farmers have learned to do agriculture as a business. You know, in the past, we used to do a lot of subsistence farming. People will simply produce what they will eat. But not everything you want to eat is produced by any one single farmer. Every farmer will have to buy other things with what they have produced. So when they get value from what they are able to produce, where they have comparative advantage, they now use that to buy those things that they don't produce. So even at that level, you do agribusiness. And to be able to afford things in Nigeria today, based on the purchasing power of our currency, you need to do a lot more. So you need to scale productivity. You need to scale the value that you get from what you produce. You need to have higher purchasing power for the currency. And then you get economic growth that permeates the system. It is not correct to say that the economy is growing when majority of the people are in abject poverty. They cannot afford 3 square meals or even 1 meal a day. So we need to work assiduously to get all these things to work together. All institutions in the agricultural ecosystem must work together for better results. The theme of this year's World Food Day is better foods and a better future. And it calls for all people to collaborate. Government, private sector, businesses, the new generation, women and youth, all have to work together to make the agri-food system work. It's a fundamental thing that we must do. And this is global, honestly. The hand-in-hand initiative that was launched a few weeks ago in Nigeria is attracting about $3.14 million from the FAO and other development partners, and also the Nigerian government and the private sector. As a matter of fact, FAO and the development partners are going to bring together about $1.75 million. The government and private sector in Nigeria will bring up $1.39 million. So it's work in progress, and you must collaborate with each other and all sectors of the economy to make things work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kabiru Ibrahim, for your insight this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now moving on, a significant development in the staple food market has sparked increase in demands and excitement from both traders and consumers in Yenagoa. As the price of rice, one of Nigeria's most consumed staple food item, investigation reveals that there is a drastic drop in the price this year compared to 2024. Business correspondent Gift Ogbe from Swali Ultra Modern Market in Yenagoa confirmed that the drop in price of rice has led to an increase in the purchases of the staple food.
Rice, a staple food in Nigeria, widely consumed across country by most households, as of recent times experienced drop in price. This welcome change has been most notable observed at the bustling Swale Market, the largest and most popular marketplace in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. In an interaction with traders, the federal government's increased investment in local rice production and improvement support for farmers has played a major role in stabilization and reduction of prices of this staple food. Initiatives such as subsidized farm input, enhanced access to credit for rice farmers, and improved storage and distribution mechanism have collectively helped to boost rice cultivation and supply in markets, and this has adversely reduced dependency on imported rice.
The price of rice this year now come down well. If you look now, last year they buy rice, all this type where would they sell 50, 45, 60,000, 55,000. But now God don't help. The thing don't come down to 50,000. Even would they still expect say the thing will come down past like that.
This time now, this cost now 6,000 you can buy, 5,000 you can buy now. Rice is going down. Food have go down. This is why I'm saying that I have joy now, because some people don't have the money to buy. Now they have money to buy now.
Like last year, they say cost of rice. Some people they say 8,000 something. But this year now, you go see rice of costa, some rice 5,500, some 6,000. Better rice, so we send no day.
But I think it's government effort. I think they are doing their best to try and make sure that the price of food crash, because everyone wants to eat, and you know, by the time the food is available, at least the masses or the citizens won't be angry with the government. So.
However, while the price relief is celebrated, Traders are raising concern on the issue of multi-taxation. They urge that despite the federal government's support in agriculture, excessive levies and overlapping taxes imposed by local and state authorities are threatening the long-term stability of food prices.
The challenge is, you know how they wrote concerning transports, you understand, sticker, all those things there. So anything that you charge driver will calculate, put it for the transport. So the transport will now come back to that we have the goods, you understand? So you say we calculate how the expensive be before you know how you test it. If not because of that challenges now, the price will reduce more than like this.
Humans are hopeful that the stability of food prices will continue, especially with the festive season by the corner.
As the prices of rice continues to fall, many Nigerians are hopeful that this marks the beginning of a broader reduction in food prices across board.
Now to Commodity Watch. Cocoa prices tumble on signs of weak global demand. Let's take a trip through the commodities market. The House of Representatives has resolved to get to the bottom of the abandoned modular refinery project in Brass, Bayelsa State, after a whopping $35 million was reportedly invested in it. Mitari Ekman reports that lawmakers insist that public funds deployed for the project, which is under the purview of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, must be accounted for.
Development and Monitoring Board, otherwise known as NCDMB, invested the sum of $35 million in Atlantic International Refinery and Petrochemical Limited, a modular refinery located in Brass. Despite this huge investment, which is more than 50 billion naira today, and enough to fund fundamental components of the national budget, the proposed modular refinery was never set up.
It appears today that we're a nation that will not only eat her profit, but will also eat her investment.
The failure to establish functional operational offices within their areas of operation in Imo State, as mandated by Section 3J of the Act 2010, thereby denying the state by valuable economic activity and employment. To urge the oil and gas companies operating in Imo State to urgently comply with provisions of Nigerian oil and gas industry.
The Naira on Wednesday depreciated further to 1,505 Naira per dollar in the parallel market from 1,495 Naira per dollar on Tuesday. How much is the Naira exchanging for other major currencies? Let's find out. South Korea's Kospi index hit a record high on Thursday after the International Monetary Fund raised the country's 2025 growth forecast to 0.9% from 0.8% in its October Outlook report. Well, this is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. Business Express returns on Friday by 3 p.m. I am Maria Adu Zakari saying keep thinking and doing business.